But like I would see these old ladies and I'd be like, man, I bet I could punch you so hard you would die. I don't know why. I don't know why. It was just a thought in my head.
Like crazy slow-mo Barry White. Like it was insane.
Yeah, I heard that the other day because some friends of ours that have a podcast and they just kind of go right into talking. And so we have this intro that we put together like in less than a day or whatever. And I was like, all right, let me see if I can hook them up. And I had some ideas because, it's like when somebody is like reviewing your work or has an idea for you or whatever, so that's me for these friends that we have. And I was like, oh, I have an idea. Like, I'll find a track for you and you're gonna talk over it. And so I was like being them. I'm like, hey, I'm so-and-so and I'm so-and-so and welcome to the whatever. And I listened to it and it was like, hello, I'm so-and-so. And I was like, what the fuck? And I spent like probably 30 minutes. When you're like in procrastination mode, you'll work on anything else that's not important. That's totally what I was doing. Had so much stuff to get done. And I'm like, this is really important. I have to get this. You're
like, I got to go scrub the toilets real quick.
Totally.
Really,
my house is immaculate. Well, so I'm trying to fix it. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I was using GarageBand and I was like, I fucking don't know how to use GarageBand. And so, yeah, we started this podcast. And you're like, dude, you sound like Barry White. And I thought you were I was like, yeah, okay. You're like, no, it's fucked up.
No, it was like in half or quarter speak. Like you would go like, and then it would be like, like it was nuts.
Not good.
I don't know what was happening.
All right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I always ask how you're doing, even though like we normally are talking. Right.
Yeah, but today it's even weirder since I'm in your house.
How lame are we?
The internet's out of my house, and so literally couldn't do anything. I've been struggling all week, like for work and everything. Just like it's like it hasn't been out, but it's been just dropping randomly. So every call I'm on, I'm just like, hey, what I really need you guys to do is. And then I'll just like it was just like every meeting I was just like, oh my god, what is happening? And then today it was just completely out. So I'm at your house now. Probably have better
upstairs
lighting.
In my wife's office.
Yeah, but I got a window. I got all this nice light on me. Looks so.
Yeah, her desk is in like the perfect spot with that window right there and all that. I was actually kind of jealous because there's like a bathroom connected to it.
Yeah, you can poop right there. Man, it's awesome.
It's
like
if
the
you
best
need
place.
to dip out for a second, just go make it happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. I said and you said
I know. I don't even know what I was gonna say, and then I thought you were gonna say something really important, and then so I stopped, and now I don't even remember what I was even thinking about when I said their initial
That's fine. Yeah. Well, so yeah, your internet struggles. You had some family in town. Like the podcast has been a struggle for the past couple of weeks, and
I'm sorry.
It's
been mostly on my side, so I really 100% apologize. It's just been crazy.
I won't lie. Like when you had to, so we've only been posting on Mondays for this will make the second week. And when you mentioned that you couldn't do it on Wednesday, I actually was like, I'm bummed because like. Not bummed because you couldn't do it. I also was like happy not to do it. I'm just bummed because we're like our cadence is getting fucked up.
Yeah, no, but I don't know. We talked about it. It's like we haven't lost interest in this podcast. Where it's like that's typically what happens with like a product where you're like, I'm so excited to work on this thing, and you're like, I'm not as excited to work on this thing. I don't really want to work on this thing. I don't feel like that's not what's happening. There's just been like
that's good
external things like you're working on your house, like your other house, and like been having to fix that up, and you're tired,
dude.
And like I've had family and all this other stuff like in town, and so it's just been crazy,
Yeah. Well, but we are definitely committed. We were like, all right, if we have to do this shit fucking 6 a.m. on Sunday,
No, that's
The
why I told
Monday
you. I told you
episodes are
yesterday. I was like, no matter what happens, I'm recording tomorrow. And then what happens? I don't have internet. And so I was like, I'm here
coming
at
over.
your house. Yeah,
I loved,
we're making it happen.
I loved you walking up to the door with like literally all of your gear, your camera, your microphone.
Yeah, and it's freezing cold outside, and no one let me in. I'm just standing outside, freezing my butt off. I don't like cold weather with all my equipment. Yeah, I'm sure people think like I'm here to like interview you because I came walking up with a mic and cameras and all this stuff.
Oh, dude, my neighbors, they already think I'm like this mystery man. They're like, were you interviewed today? I'm like, I can't talk about it.
I have a story.
Oh, shit.
Holy crap. Did I send this to you?
Let's jump in.
Oh my God. Okay, so we get a million boxes at the house, right?
Yeah.
Like, because we have a spa constantly, like, there's like, here's wax, here's, this skincare stuff, here's, paper, blah, blah, blah. Like, we get
And
packages.
you're a famous podcaster, and they just
And I'm a famous podcast. So, literally, like, we get, I don't know, 20 boxes, like, every other day, like, just show up at the house. So, it's like, there's just constant
That's a
boxes.
lot. Yeah.
And so, there was, like, a big box. I thought she ordered, like another piece of furniture or something that I was going to have to put together. And I was like, God, this one's heavy. And like, we're opening it up. I'm like, what the hell is this? It's wrapped in a blanket. Like I opened the box, then it's wrapped in a blanket. And I was like, why is this thing so heavy? What the hell is this? And then unwrap it. It's a fucking gun.
What?
A fucking gun. Like, not like a little gun or like I'm going to go shoot deer. Like,
you know
rifle
nothing
type
about
thing.
guns though, right?
I don't.
So
I'm
you
not
don't
a
even
gun
know what
person.
it was?
I looked it up. It's the kind of like you hook onto like a Humvee or like a helicopter. It's like a full-on machine gun thing. Shows up at the house.
Why do I not know about this?
Oh my God. Like I'll send you the picture of it. Like I was just like, what is happening right now? And so like I instantly like text my dad and like gun people that I know. I'm like, what the hell is this? This just showed up at my house.
Do you know where it came from?
So I started digging. There was nothing on the box, right? Like there wasn't like
shit.
address labels and stuff. So my dad goes into like crazy, like
Conspiracy mode.
So yeah, somebody's setting you up, for murder, and they dropped it off at your house, so your fingerprints are on it now, and like
50% chance at least.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, and so literally, so I started digging in the box and stuff, and there's like this thing that says like G Geeks, and I was like, okay. That doesn't tell me anything. And then randomly there's a stamp on the inside of the box that just says Richardson. So I know it's in Texas. So I look up G Geeks Richardson. And there's a place called Gun Geeks Richardson that sell gun collections for people. I guess they're like a middleman or something.
Dude, they must have listened to our last podcast.
Yeah, they were like, you need a gun. I'm going to send you the best gun ever.
You need this for your drone?
No, so I called the guy. I left him a message. I found him online, but I haven't heard back. But I'm like, I don't want this giant like machine gun in my house, like. But still, it's
sounds
like
badass.
Creepy. It's like it looks like a Commando Rambo like giant like gun that like like the clip, all the bullets like hang out in like a row off the side. Yeah. That's what it is. It's one of those.
All right, you have to get some photos. We're gonna put them in. We're gonna edit them in here.
Like it's nuts. Like, oh dude, let me find it. I'm gonna send it to you just because you have to see this thing. It's just I was just like, what is happening right now? Like I was just so confused.
To be honest, like you telling me this story, and I'm like, well, that's wild, but yeah, if that showed up at my house, I mean, there might be a little bit of concern. It's like, who was supposed to get this? And now is my address like mixed up in maybe it was the avocado mafia. We've talked about too much dangerous shit apparently.
I just texted it to you. Look on your iMessage.
Great, I have Slack open waiting here.
Oh, sorry.
Let me open up messages. See what this looks like.
It's not like a little
Holy
thing.
fuck.
Yes,
okay,
that's what I'm saying.
Editing this into the podcast. That's
oh my God, like
bonkers.
How nuts is that? But apparently they do awesome stuff. I looked up this gun online because I can't help it. I'm just like, this looks expensive. It like just found like random sites that were selling it for like $4,000.
But it was addressed to you.
There was no address. There was nothing on it. So my thinking is, this is my random theory. We get so many boxes that the delivery person is just like grabbing stuff off the truck And he's like, well, I mean, this section is for this house, and he just grabs a bunch of shit and leaves it at the door.
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
that's my thinking. But
That's
still,
totally what
he was
happened.
delivering it to something that didn't have an address. So it was in the van, right? So that part's weird, unless it fell off or something. But there was nothing.
I don't
on
know,
it.
man. Well, now you've already reached out to somebody. Like, I kind of like just want you to own this.
That's what my wife was saying, and I was like, no.
Yeah, your
I was
wife
like,
definitely.
no,
She definitely
I do
would
not.
like this.
I was like, I have no problem, like, because we talked about moving to the country and all that kind of stuff, like buying a gun. I don't have an issue with guns. I like guns. I don't like hunting. But I don't want that gun. I don't want to have like 100-pound Rambo gun in the house.
Out in the country, this is what you need. You're just like, you have it posted up on the roof. You have a little access point.
A little like mechanism on it that makes it go back and forth just to freak people out.
No, send Hawk up there. He's fucking good at video games now. You're like, son, today's the day. You got people coming up on your land, and he's just like,
well, so that is a really interesting segue into what the hell is happening in the world right now with the whole Russia and Ukraine thing. That, dude, things are nuts.
oh,
right
dude,
now.
good point. You've got this right now. Now is not the right time to
Yeah,
let it go,
maybe I shouldn't give it back. Maybe
if
I
the
should
guy gets
hang
back
on
to you,
it.
say, yeah, stuck it in the mail. He's
It's
like,
on
where
its
did you
way.
send it? You're like, I don't know. It's just,
I just stuck it in the mail. That's not what you do, right? Just stick giant guns in the mailbox.
I just wrote not right address, so contact the USPS, please.
Return to sender with no sender.
Yeah, so, yeah, the Ukraine shit. Dude, this is one of those times where I feel like things went from like 0 to 1,000, and I don't actually know what the fuck is going on. Like, I don't know why.
I'm in the same boat. I purposely
Oh, God,
I don't
two
watch
idiots.
the news. I don't watch the news. Like
Me neither.
I purposely hate the news because it's just nonstop, just negativity, and it's just like, it creates panic in people, right? And so I've tried to like just listen to some sources and stuff that I like and like that I will trust, or read up on some things. We have some developers on our team that have some people like their family in Russia, and
yeah.
and so there's like, like personal concern, like I want to dig into it to know what's going on. But
I would be really interested in like a Russian and a Ukrainian's perspective. Like, I know both also.
well, but imagine that too. Like, even if you're Russian, it doesn't mean that you're like out to get anybody.
Supporting it,
You could
right.
just be
Yeah, yeah,
totally
yeah.
like just like that. I just happen to live here, like I
No,
don't,
yeah,
I want
I
nothing
agree.
to do with this,
I don't. My default line of thinking, knowing nothing, isn't that the Russians are like, yeah, get the Ukrainians. I don't think that at all. I just think it would be interesting to hear like kind of how they're both looking at it, considering one is like under attack and one is like, it's like us. Anytime like the United States is in a war overseas, we're like, all right, well, I'm still going to work. Okay,
Yeah,
still gonna do my
yeah.
dumb random shit.
Well,
And then if you're the one under attack, I can only imagine, good thing for you, you've got a fucking machine gun now, but like,
Yeah, I'm
it'd
good.
be getting ready.
no,
I did hear
can't
though,
imagine.
actually, they, the president of the Ukraine, I'm going to say, I think we'll both say everything wrong. I don't know. But
Yeah.
basically,
Pre-warning.
he was like, everybody, we're basically like, they're handing out guns. They're like, if you want a gun, you have the right to go get one, and like, we urge you to use it, or some shit like that. So I guess they do have some laws around just anybody having a gun or something, but he's like, not right now. Which
No. Well, I mean, when someone comes rolling in with tanks, and you don't have guns, like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good time to start passing them out. They're supposed
Totally.
to like throw forks and shit at the fucking tanks,
I feel like they probably should have done that a little while ago.
No,
but
see,
it
that's
did get me.
well, that's the part that I feel extra dumb. I don't actually I don't know why this is happening. Like does Russia just want that to be their property? Like, this is like the Vikings taking over a country and they just want to put their flag there? Is
Well-
there like some kind of like leadership fighting or something? Like, I actually don't know the reasoning behind it. Like, so I totally seem like an idiot, but I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only just now reading on it, so we're talking about shit we shouldn't be talking about. But
No, 100%. But this is what got me thinking. So outside of that, on my drive here, Okay, so I was listening to Jason Calacanis, who I used to work for,
Uh-huh.
and he kind of went into some conspiracy theory type stuff, right? Like of
makes sense for Jason, I think.
of what could happen with all of this as it could
Oh,
potentially
well,
go
more
down.
like this isn't conspiracy theory. It's like doomsday sort of.
Yeah, there you go. Doomsday scenarios, right? Of
Yeah.
like what could happen, right? Because Putin
Which I
apparently-
actually like. I like thinking about these all the time. Even aside from this, just like I'm like a wannabe. I'm like a wannabe prepper. It's part of me being a wannabe like countryman and all this shit. Even though I just sit, at my desk at my computer all the time, but like there's this sort of like desire. Like obviously, I don't want us being in my family or friends or even anybody being in harm's way. But there's like this part of me that always wonders like, could we make it? Like, could I make it?
So that's where I was going with this. So I asked you, there was a TV show that was only on for like maybe a season or two called Revolution. And the premise of this show, it came on like after Lost because it had some Lost people in it, right? And the premise of it was like all power, overnight, the entire world gone. Mm-hmm. There is no more power.
All electricity?
All electricity, 100%.
I've thought about
gone.
this before. Okay,
and
I'm interested.
And so literally what ends up happening is like everything kind of like turns into this wild west where it's like literally like you have tribes of people and like they get together, some have guns, some don't, like. And there's one of the characters that I always felt like I related to because he was like basically like he was like the equivalent of like a Google exec. And he's like worth millions of dollars, and he's like this tech guy, and he's like the most wortheless person in the tribe.
Oh God!
And everybody has to like take care of him because he's like I don't have any skills that help right now. It's like if we had power, I could program you anything you want, but right now I can't do anything for you.
I love how you're like. There's one that I associate with. He's basically useless and
he's
should die.
A useless piece of shit, and he will die in the first few episodes. Yes, that's the one that's me. But no, it's like it's all that stuff that like makes me think it's like what happens because it's like so. I guess Putin made some kind of statement about how whoever gets involved, there will be repercussions to a level that has never been seen before. And so what Calacanis kept talking about was. He doesn't think that means like nuclear or anything. He thinks it means cyber terror.
Yeah.
And just when you think about that, it's like the last few hacks over the last few years have been pretty major. Like the biggest shipping companies in the world, like all the logistics and stuff got hacked. Like, even like dumb stuff like Sony and like for all the PlayStation stuff. Like, so it's like you've got like every kid's information and location. Then he went even further than that, and he's like, now imagine that like China and Russia are working together and the TikTok is like a spy app and like they now have location of like every like diplomat's children because they are on TikTok. And no, you know what I mean? Like he was getting like deep and like it's like it all sounds super crazy far-fetched.
Okay, that is like slightly on the conspiracy side too.
It is, but it is actually possible though. Meaning like you do give location data and access to your phone and access to the stuff like when you're using random apps. If someone was to use that or hack that, they literally could find you. It's like
it's true. Well, we use the term conspiracy and conspiracy theory a lot, and we just brush all those off. It's not to say that like some of them aren't accurate or correct. It's just that we've gotten so used to all these dumb idiots, with like the Elvis and the, whatever that are still alive and
the Machiavellian Tupac. But no, I don't know. It's.
Well, no, actually, I'm talking about like QAnon. The QAnon people, like, they think that JFK and Elvis are both like still alive, and they're gonna like come back. And I don't know how Elvis got put in the picture. Like,
no, I know.
You've heard about the JFK thing, right?
Yeah, but no, it's the same thing. People think that about Tupac. Like,
well, no, I was relating it to like
I know where you're going.
QAnon.
I know, but my point is, it's like I feel like people.
But yeah, Tupac is probably still alive though.
Well, his last album was called Machiavelli, so
that's right.
Machiavellian. So, but anyway, I to where you were. So
that
going
got
with
you
it,
thinking.
Well, it got me wondering if I actually could survive
Well, here's
without
what I think.
power and things and
All right,
internet
go.
and
Like,
and whatever.
what's your thinking right now?
I don't know. I worry. I don't think my kids could. Like, I feel like
Okay,
it would
tell
be
me
a
this.
crazy challenge. for
Wait,
my-
did
my-
you wait? What did you just say? I don't think my kids could.
Yeah, no.
You're like, well,
Not at
I
all.
love you, kids. You're not
No.
gonna make it, but me and your mom, we're gonna try to do our
Well,
best.
I mean, imagine that. Like, I mean, kids grow up and they just play on
What?
the computer all day. They don't like learn how to like fish and cook and
Dude,
do
You're
things.
thinking about this the wrong way. This is where you have to take your skills and figure out how to apply them. Like Hawk with the machine gun. I'm not kidding. You're like, you think you're good, son? All right, time to man up. Let's see how this shit works out.
So it
Stick
becomes
him on
like
the
a
roof
walking
with a
a
machine
Walking
gun.
Dead moment where they're like he's like taking
Oh,
out
is that
zombies
the
and stuff.
the Asian dude? Are you talking about or something? Wasn't the
No.
Asian dude on The
Why you
Walking
get all
Dead? He was
racist?
like, dude,
Glenn.
fuck off.
Glenn is the
dude
guy.
was-
Glenn is
Who
the Asian
cares?
in Walking Dead.
I know. Well, I don't know his name, but you knew who I was talking about, you piece of shit.
I did. I
Anyway,
just didn't know where you were
wasn't
going with
he
the
like? You just want to fucking throw out the word racism. That's fine. So wasn't he like kind of useless until a point where he finally snaps and he's like, "Fuck it," and he like becomes a badass all of a sudden.
So his story. So this is funny that you bring this up, just because we're rewatching Walking Dead right now. So I
What a
actually
waste
know
of time.
he. I know it's completely. That's literally what we do is waste time all day. So he was pretty useless, but then he also had these skills that you wouldn't think were important. Like he knows like all the areas to go to and how to map everything out and where he should go this way, not that way, because he was a pizza delivery guy.
Oh
And so-
yeah, dude.
And
That's
so
fucking
he
badass.
knew all the routes.
So
you
this
know?
is that's a great. That's making my point. So Ray, you by yourself are not going to make it. Now you with Doan increases your odds by like 80% because she's fucking wild.
Crazy,
And I would want her on my side. I just feel like, I know we joke around and call her like the ninja or whatever, and she's got like throwing star tattoos, but like I do feel like, you know, if the four of us were out, I actually feel like Nicole could beat some ass too. Like, but I feel like Doan would be the one that would be like coming up with the riskiest idea to put herself in and then succeeding. She'd be like, all right, here's what I'm going to do. You guys drive by. I'm going to jump out, tuck and roll, and like roll up into their driveway, kill them, and I'll meet you behind the house. We'd be like, I don't know. Like, that sounds like some movie shit. And she'd be like, God damn it, let's fucking do it. And we'd be like, okay. She would force us. So we'd drive by and she'd jump out, tuck and roll, and we'd meet her by the back door. And she's like a little bit bloody. And she's like, all right, next house. We're like, okay, cool. Like, that's how I think about Doan.
I think about her the exact same way. I feel like you've just described my internal monologue when I think of my wife. Especially like there's a meme going on right now where it's like one of the TikToks and Reels and stuff where it's just showing somebody and they're just kind of like sitting there in their own thoughts and they're like, or it's like when they get high and they're sitting there thinking, I could actually kill somebody right now, like actually stab them and kill them right now. And they're like, oh shit, what am I thinking about? You know, and then like it like catch themselves, but like,
Dude,
that's my wife. Like,
I'm
fearful for my life every day. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna stay on track and continue to talk about this doomsday prep idea, or like how it's gonna work out. So remember, I don't believe you'll survive by yourself. I don't think I'll survive by myself. But before that, you just reminded me. Whenever I first moved to Dallas, I had a job at Home Depot. And I think I talked about before where I was such an idiot because I never in my life had to get up at like 4 a.m., but I'd have to go open the store at like 5 or something like that. So I'd wake up and I would slam 2 Mountain Dews and splash cold water in my face, which was a great way to start the day. And so, but anyway, you know, I'm like 19 at the time, and I just remember these people being in such close proximity, and I'm talking to them, and there'd be all different types of people. And I'm not an aggressive person, but I literally had these thoughts of like, there'd be these old ladies, and I mean, this sounds awful. This will be used against me for sure at some point if shit goes wrong. But like, I would see these old ladies, and I'd be like, man, I bet I could punch you so hard you would die. I don't know why. I don't know why. It was just a thought in my head.
Oh my God.
So here's the thing. I actually kind of concerned myself. I was like, why am I, like, what is going on? So I would talk to my mom from time to time, and I was like, hey mom, like, I think it was her. It was her and my brother. I think it was my mom, because I was like a little bit actually concerned. I was like, I don't want to do any crazy shit, but like, I'm having it wasn't like you say I was having these thoughts of like punching someone and killing them. It was just like, I guess it was kind of thoughts, but it wasn't like I was just daydreaming about it all the time. It'd be like, we're just so close. And I'm like, that could happen. It's kind of like when you think at any moment you could do something crazy, like the guy, like the meme, like I could kill somebody. It's like at any moment you could just do a thing that would just change your life forever. Like probably not for the better. But anyway, so I tell my mother this. She was like, I think you're okay. It's just like a lot of hormones and like you're a lot of responsibilities now.
It's just puberty.
Yeah, you live on your own. Yeah, just puberty at 19. I was like, oh, okay. I guess that's probably it. But anyway.
I mean, I'm sure I've had similar thoughts, but I don't know if it was around killing some old lady with like one hit. But I mean, I've definitely had that like around sports and stuff like that. Like, just like playing baseball and doing things like that. Like, because, especially
what's
growing
the equivalent?
up. Well, growing up, I was a giant child, right? So, like, I'm in a man's body playing against some 10-year-old kid.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, I mean, I would get screamed at by parents. Like, they would literally think I was trying to, like, kill their child. Like, well, I'm like, no, I'm 10. I don't throw perfect strikes every single pitch. I mess up sometimes, too. I didn't mean to throw it at his head,
Well, the funny thing is, like, your scenario on a football team, I've seen it. Like, so my son, we put him in flag football, and he's, like, tiny and, hopping around everywhere or whatever. And this wasn't, well, there was one kid on his team that definitely weighed, like, 150 pounds. And we'd see them get put up against each other, and I was like, I hope he doesn't die right now. But I actually, when I was in... what grade? I was like about 12, so I was probably in 5th or 6th grade. And I played football one year because my best buddy down the street was playing. And in my mind, I was like, he was like, yeah, play football. And I was like, oh, I'll just be on his team. That's not the way it works. So there's like, the football league thing or whatever my mother calls. And she's like, you really want to play football? I was like, yeah, totally. And have no idea. I never, to this day, I don't even know how it
love that she didn't
works.
have a lot of faith in you.
Well, I mean, I think she knew at the time. Yeah. Well, and I sucked. I mean, pretty much everything. Well, we'll get into that. But anyway, there was a kid, and his name was Grubbs. Like, a perfect nickname. His last name just happened to be Grubbs. But he was also like, I don't know. I'm thinking we were really small, but we were all little kids at the time. But I'm pretty sure he weighed over 200 pounds at the time. And I just always thought to myself, like, what if he fell on me and just snapped my spine? And I'd be like, oh, God, I got to stay away from this guy. But, yeah, I didn't know shit about football. But the good thing is that I was a skater before that. So I was used to, like, falling hard on concrete. And so then, like, now we're out in grass, and I'm wearing all these pads. And, dude, I just used to, like, jump over, like, dudes that were coming towards me, and I would do anything I could to get to the whoever, usually like the quarterback. So I ended up like, I was a right defensive end. Still don't really know anything about what that means. I just remember that's what I was. And they were just like, get the quarterback, because I was kind of small and fast. And so I had all these like skull and crossbones because every time I'd sack the quarterback. And I remember walking by this one game, a coach from another team was like, that boy's bad. We got to get him next year. And I was like, little do they know, I have no idea what I'm doing.
No, that's actually interesting because I was thinking about you. Like, I mean, you're super strong and agile and everything, so I think you'd be pretty good at some fucking sports.
Yeah,
it's just more. I think just I'm all right. No.
Well, I mean, I think I'd be all right. I mean, I just have never done really like group sports or anything. But the thing is, I like became like I was like a diehard skater. Once I became a skater, I was like, I'm going pro. I had a wrestling coach, or it was like our gym coach, you know, that taught history and also the wrestling team. And he was like, "Hey, Steve, like, I want you to come out. I want you to come join the wrestling team." And I was like, "Can't do it." He was like, "Why not?" And well, the thing is, so the backstory to that is I was crazy in the gym class. Like, we had these bleachers that would basically like push up against the wall, and then you could pull them out. And I would do the thing where you'd like jump from the second one to the floor, the third one, the fourth one. And then I got to the point where I was jumping from the very top and really just having to like put my legs out as far as they would go to get past them. And he was like, "Dude," and the funny thing is he would just watch. Like, I'm really about to kill myself. And the other kids would get to a certain point and then they would just watch. And he was like, so I mean, I think he was like utilizing that sort of like, okay, this kid's, you know, maybe crazy. He should be on the wrestling team. I was like, "Sorry, I
Get
can't
him
do
a
it."
jersey.
Yeah. Yeah, get him one of those onesies. Let's get him one here. Let's get him out here wearing some shit, showing his balls off. Well, he was really like trying to get me in there, and I was like, I can't, man. I'm focused on skateboarding. He was like, "Skateboarding?" I was like, "Yeah, man." I was like, "I'm going pro." And he's like, I mean, I literally said that, and he's like, "What if you don't go pro?" And I said, "Well, we're just gonna have to find out, bro. Like, I'm going pro. Like, you just watch." Anyway, I never went pro, but also didn't join the wrestling team. And
But
in
also,
hindsight,
what difference does that make though? Like, what if you don't go pro in wrestling? Like, that's you still got to have a.
well,
thing
I
to
think for
sit
him,
there.
he was just trying to figure out how to get me on the wrestling team.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, what if you don't go pro? Like, come join the wrestling team.
That's what's interesting. Wrestling was never big in Texas. I don't even know if it is still.
Dude,
like,
it's
right now.
not like, well, and it's not like I'm a big wrestling person. In fact, like I did it when I was like 5 and 6 or whatever. And like, you know, the little kids wrestling. And, you know, I hated it, of course. I got body slammed one time by a kid who was like uber strong and he thought it was the WWF. And I was like, "This is my last day." Yeah, so you know, I'm out in Sunnyvale. So you and I are both like it's not rural, but it's not like downtown. It's not like
Yeah,
the
we're not
city,
in the city.
which God, I love. I never thought I would love it as much as I do. But anyway, you kind of assume like, I mean, football's major out here and all of our football teams take it really seriously. And I don't know. I mean, I grew up knowing about wrestling, but there was a guy on my son's a kid on my son's football team, and his dad. I would talk to him, and he was like, he is like this like badass Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy, and so we were catching up about that and talking about, you know, all sorts of stuff like that. And he's like, "Yeah, I wanted to fucking like coach the high school wrestling team. They don't even have one." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, they didn't have one." So I reached out to him and said I would do it for free. And they're like, "Yeah, we're just going to keep the boys focused on football." He was like, "What the fuck?"
No, it's crazy. Because Hawk does jiu-jitsu, and then my wife's constantly like, "We need to get him in wrestling. We need to get him in wrestling." And I'm like, I don't even know where to put him in wrestling. But she's got a friend that she went to high school and like middle school and high school with that he like went to the Olympics. Like he's like professional wrestler, and now he like coaches like tons of like UFC people and like these like pro wrestlers and stuff like that. Like not like
Nice.
TV wrestlers, but like actual wrestling.
Collegiate wrestlers or something.
Yeah, and so like apparently he's like super famous. I don't know anything about wrestling, but she keeps wanting to get Hawk in wrestling.
Yeah,
like,
I'm pretty
I just don't know where. I think he'd be good at it.
Your
but I don't-
jiu-jitsu camp should be able to, gym should be able to help you with that. But anyway, I think this actually leads us back into our original conversation because I think these are all skills. Survival. So, okay, so back to my point about, and I made it sound like I was shitting on you that you couldn't survive alone, but I also don't think I could survive alone. I think the scenario of the guy who did the pizza delivery and knew all the neighborhoods and all the streets is like the perfect example of like, you need to like, if we all go into the shit, we need to like form our tribe, and we have to have people in there that have specific skills. Or like I know a developer, he's a little older, but he's like had all this worldly experience, and he's also like a tinkerer, and he knows a little bit about everything, can kind of get anything to work. And he also just so happens to be fascinated with like guns and like all the mechanics of how they work, and he's like a marksman and all this. So I've always thought to myself, like, I've always been like, this guy, he's a guy that like when shit goes down, like he's coming to stay at my house. And I'll cook or something. I'll cook and I'll punch somebody in the face if it gets to that.
No, you got me thinking of like what I even would bring to the table. I mean, obviously I'm strong. Okay. I can bring all the firewood and chop all the trees down, help build shelter.
I also feel like you'd be just a good community snuggler.
It's like, I'd keep everybody warm.
You're like, get on over here.
Yeah, get in here, boy.
Okay, so imagine this. Like if that shit goes down and you have to start creating your tribe, like how's that shit go down? Because you don't just want to let anybody in it. Because there's going to be a lot of people that see the value in you and the tribe that you've put together and be like, yeah, let me come up in there. And you're like, so what do you do exactly? It's like a resume. It's Doomsday resumes.
No, see, it's funny. Like that's what I'm saying. Like what you're bringing up, everything
still
is like
goes
all
back
Walking
to your
Dead.
fucking... Oh, no, really? Oh, wait, it is?
Yeah, because like they are a tribe, and they'll come across these other people that are like, let us in your camp. And they're like, no.
Oh, that's right.
And like they end up like having to kill them because it's like they just want, the people they don't want to like live with them. They want to take what they have.
That's why I quit watching.
And so there's this like bully system of like them people just trying to take over, and like they're just trying to like live a happy life and keep everybody alive, and
yeah.
So it just gets crazy, but I don't know. Like in that Revolution show, there was a little bit like that too. And like the people that survived really well was Texas, because everyone they knew how to like prep. They all had guns. They all had their horses. They knew how to like get around everywhere. They knew how to butcher the cows. They knew how to do all these things. Like they knew how to like live without anybody else. Like that's the whole that whole show. It was like everybody else in the world was struggling, but Texas seemed to be just fine.
Dude, have I told you of have I told you my favorite show? Like the difference between you and I is that you watch everything and I watch almost nothing. Mm-hmm. But I do have a show that I fucking love. It's called Alone.
Alone. Okay.
You've seen it, right?
Our friends Tim and Amy got me into that. Apparently, my dad watches it like crazy too.
Oh, I can imagine your dad watching it.
Yeah, he watches all those Survivors and Alone and Naked. And
I've never watched any of the other ones, but this one, for some reason, I think it's like one of those scenarios where I watch like one episode and I'm like, okay, I'll give it a little bit more time, but basically it's where these people get dropped off. Well, there's other seasons where they get dropped off in other areas, but I watched 2 or 3 seasons of the most recent ones. And they get dropped off in like the Arctic Circle in Canada. And so basically they get dropped in right before the freeze happens. And so they're like, they got to go figure out where to set up camp. And they get like 10 items. So it's like a flint to start fires, which most of them do. One dipshit was like, I'm going to start my own fires. And he ended up like on the show, he's like, why the fuck didn't I take the flint? Because the wood is different. It's like if wood isn't like a certain coarseness or whatever, or if it's like,
or if it's too
wet or whatever. Yeah. But actually what was happening with this guy is like, it was the type of wood and he's trying to do it. He's like, damn it. And it's just making smoke. And he's like, fuck. So anyway, you get 10 items, but it's like a coat, a blanket. It's like pretty much the essentials. So it's not like you're like, 10 items. What can I do
you
to
have
cheat?
To like pick your own 10 items.
You do.
Oh, okay.
You do. But still, the 10 goes quick when you're like, I need a coat. I know
some people were
gear.
like, I'm good with like a bow and arrow. So like they had a bow,
Oddly enough, people are amazingly good with like very rudimentary bows. Like,
dude,
like I know about like the, now I'm going to blank on what it's called, but like whatever the bow is called where it coils back, recoil or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember now.
I know what you're talking about.
And so I know like archery's fucking pretty hard. But these people just have like fucking like bow and arrows from like Indian tribes or something. They're very rudimentary. And you're like, okay, they definitely don't know what the fuck they're doing. And these motherfuckers are like, got a squirrel out of a tree 200 yards away.
That's the part that was the most. I've only seen a couple of episodes of that show, and I was like, how the hell did you hit that squirrel hiding in the bush of the tree? And it's like this big, but you hit it from like 50 yards away with this shitty bow.
Yeah,
and
with
it
some
was
homemade arrows or something.
Yeah, and you're like, well, there's dinner, and just like it was no big deal. Like that to me was the most impressive thing.
That show's amazing. Part of it also is about that show that I don't know. There's part of it where it's if you're ignorant to what it takes to like survive, which I am, but I mean at least I know something about like kind of how nutrition works a little bit. Like they're like, all right, I just gotta get as much fat as I can, and they'll like render all this fat from these animals and save it so that they can like, when they don't have food, they're like, all right, gotta eat some fat or whatever. And I don't know. Well, and then they have like these strategies of like, all right, I'm here. It's gonna start getting cold in the next like week, and then before too long, like the lake is gonna freeze over. So they're like, I gotta try to get as many fish as I can, or like you said, like some people just have different skill sets where like, oh, I'm gonna try to get like a big game or whatever, and people will get like bears and moose and shit with like what I like I mentioned, like a fucking stick and wire that they made a bow and arrow out of or some shit.
Okay, so that's okay. So I'm with you on this thing, but I don't want to derail. But there was one episode, because I've only seen a couple of them, where some dude fucking fights a bear with a knife.
It's
like
with
his bare hand.
Oh no, it's a bear. Yeah.
No, it's a bear.
Well,
and I was
bear,
like,
okay.
What the hell?
So that bear, he had already jacked up, and he just needed it to die.
It's a bear.
Oh no,
and
you're not
it's
wrong.
Still alive with ginormous claws that you're coming right up onto with like a tiny little knife. Fuck that. There's no fucking way.
I loved it because when so I know what you're talking about. It's like it was whatever the last season was. So that guy, well, spoiler, that guy ends up winning. Obviously, like he's willing to kill a bear with his bare hands. But anyway,
he deserved it.
What I loved about that is he's like,
everything.
This damn thing won't die. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna have to go in and stab it. And so he's like getting ready. He basically does like a run by where he's like, all right, and he goes, ah! and stabs it and like tucks and rolls out of it. He's like, I think I got it. And then like shortly later, the bear dies. He's like, all right, it's time to start doing work. I'm like, you guys are so badass. So anyway,
yeah,
that's, and I told you this before. Like I got the Forerunner. I got it as a survivalist vehicle. I don't know why. I just in my head, I was like, yep. When everything, I mean, literally, like it's just in my head. It had nothing to do with politics at the time. I'm just, I was just like, yeah. I want the next vehicle I get. I want it to be the vehicle that I can get through Doomsday with.
I don't know if I've ever talked about
I even needed to
this.
get like the air intake that goes above water.
Yeah,
so
the snorkel.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've talked about this on the show, but have I told you like why I want to learn how to fly a plane?
No.
It's because of this. I feel like every apocalyptic type movie or anything that happens, the people that survive somehow get into a plane and fly. And like that's how they stay
Finally
alive.
get the fuck out of there. Dude, that's your skill.
And so I'm like, I want to figure out how to fly.
You have direct access to somebody who fucking flies a plane.
Yeah, no. It's been on my list for a long time. I hate flying. But it's like I feel like just as a survival skill, I feel like I need to know. Even so like if I'll do it at home. Like I'll use like the whole thing on my video
simulator?
Game. My whole gaming setup. I'll just do it there. But
dude, this is gonna be you in the future. You're gonna be like, no, don't kill me. I know how to fly a plane. And then whoever, like, hopefully I'm not dead. You're with us, And then everywhere we go, you're like, yeah, if we just find a plane, I got us.
All we gotta do is find a plane. I got us.
Yeah.
And
where's a fucking plane?
And gasoline, because we're gonna need that, for the plane to work. But no, it's always been on my list of things because there's like I don't know, like I think of what is it like the movie 2020. And then there's like the one with like The Rock, and there's some other ones where there's like all these bad things are happening, and like the floors are like all caving in. You're like all the ground is caving in into the ground, and you just see them just barely taking off, and like they get to like a place that it's okay. Like,
always.
Yeah. So.
And then there's probably an explosion in the back.
Yeah, always. Yeah.
Which, what a great transition. So we've mentioned a few times that we've done a really shitty job about promoting the podcast or ourselves. And it's a thing that we know we need to do. I think I've gotten past the point where it feels douchey or whatever. I just know I need to do it. I'm just like, it's so much effort. But what I did appreciate, well, so you and I have kind of been developing, I'm just going to call it like the voice of the podcast. And I think as people that have kind of stuck around, which oddly enough, you and I both were talking about this earlier, a friend of mine that lived in Japan that now lives in Seattle sent me a message this morning. It was like, I hope you guys make it to Japan. Everything you said about it's spot on. And I was like, you're listening to the podcast? It also so happens to be the gal that I learned a couple of Japanese phrases for to impress. And I was like, God, did I say anything stupid? But
so one of the comments on that video on YouTube was from Devin. He was like, you got to check out this show on Amazon called like James Man in Japan or something like that. Okay. I started watching it and I love it. So he's the guy from Top Gear, one of the guys from the original Top Gear, where they like look at cars and like test them out and, you know, drag race them and try to wreck them and do all kinds of crazy shit.
Sounds
and
cool.
It's literally, I love his approach because it's like you can tell they spent months there. This wasn't like a quick like, all right, let's just get a bunch of clips and we'll go to Tokyo and like it's just like here it is.
How do you get that job?
They started like the northern tip of Japan and like worked their way down. Like so they're like not even like close to like Tokyo or anything in the city.
Okay, so they're working their way down and they're doing like they're going to different cities and doing car stuff.
So, no. That's
his
they're
just driving the car.
No. He is famous from another show. The host of this show, he's famous from something else.
So what is he doing
He's just learning about Japan. And
he
has a film crew and stuff.
We could do
that. Like following him. Oh yeah, this is my dream. Like, and he starts at the top. It's like what?
Do you think that he recorded that? And I guess he already had notoriety from the other show, because you know there's people that will do this and they basically like pay for it themselves. Like we could do this and try and pitch it to a company. Yeah.
I don't think so. I think if that would have been the case, it would have been.
He already got funded.
Yeah, I mean he was famous already. Like you know, like he already has like a crew and stuff. So I think that was an easy sell for him. You know, because it's like he already has a name, and it's like I feel like people watch shit on Japan. So, but yeah, if we did it, we could just make it like a video, a YouTube channel or something like that. It's like the Rays in Japan.
Oh, you know, we were talking about our the family going along with this. Mm-hmm. That will be, we're like, hey, wives, we're going on a work trip. If you want to come, you can, but you have to be our cameraman. They're like, what?
Like, hey, no,
I didn't make up the rules.
We'll stay then.
Yeah, right. No, they would go and they'd be like, I don't feel like filming today. I'm like, no, that's literally like, well, so anyway, to keep us on track, which I think we've done okay tying all this together, but what I had started with was promoting ourselves, and how, you know, then the friend heard it or whatever. But anyway, so we've been talking about like putting together, I was talking about like the voice, the tone of our podcast and how it's developed. And obviously we've talked nothing about actual UX design on this episode. And I'm fine with that. I was talking to some of our other UX designer friends and I was like, yeah, it's, you know, we haven't been necessarily talking about a lot of design specific stuff. And I don't know if it's because they're our friends. I want to believe this, but they're like, no, dude, it's great. It's great just to listen to while you're designing. And I'm like, all right. Even the last one, I had called you or I had texted you or something. I was like, God, we talk so fucking slow. This is going to be so boring. And you were like, really? Well, I think I also mentioned, though, I started editing in like 4x speed because, dude, editing these things, if I edit at a regular speed, it'll take me like 2 hours. And not that I've been even doing anything. It's just like, you know, stop and go. You're listening to it and you're like, oh, there's one thing, you know, I got to, you know, adjust audio levels or whatever. So I started doing it at like 4x and it's working pretty good. But so I listened to it and then I go back and I listen to it after I export it, and listening to us talk, I swear it was like, literally, I feel like this is how we sounded. Like, hey, Ray, how are you today? You're like, oh man, I'm good. So, like it sounded so slow. I was like, then that's why I sent you that text. I was like, dude, we need to fucking take some Adderall or something.
I mean,
Which
we've
we didn't
definitely
do
had
today.
we've had those tired days for sure, but I don't know. I think we're doing okay. Oh, what's
Yeah.
interesting though is like I don't know if it was one of the comments or if somebody sent us a message or something like that, but they were like, yeah, it's like this is like not. It's like if you're at a design agency, this is like all the shit that you're talking about, like at the water cooler, right?
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah, yeah.
that's what our podcast is, and I feel like like I feel like that's a good like that kind of like sums us up really well because it's like we're gonna talk about design stuff sometimes because it's like that's what we do,
Yeah.
but like there's so much else going on that we're like talking about in the world.
Yeah, we can talk unintelligently about wars that are
Yeah, that we know
starting.
nothing about. Yeah, exactly. We're influencers. We're going to change the war. We're stopping it right now.
We'll see
The
what
war
happens,
just
bro.
ended. We just
Well,
ended it.
We'll see how that goes. I'm
Man,
going
no
to put this
faith.
out Monday.
No faith.
Well, I mean, it's just a timing. I mean, you could say
You're
it
like,
just
will
ended.
it be?
Yeah. Steve was supposed to put this out a month later.
We'll push it till it's over.
Yeah. So, wow, staying on track is apparently pretty hard right now. But
Yeah.
anyway, we were talking about putting together like some promotional commercials.
Oh, that's what you're
And-
talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we've got some fun ideas. And so we've got to take photos. We've got to do some promotional stuff. We have been invited to a shindig in Austin. I won't mention any details around it. I'm not sure that they want us to mention it. And
I'm
so
trying to go. I just want to go this year. Like, I want to go to actual South by.
dude,
You want
it's
to go?
during, man, I do, but dude, I have to go on so, I'm consulting with a team now. There's a trip that I need to
that's when
take
the
with them
conference is.
on the 14th. So South by is like during that week. Well, I guess it's multiple weeks, but at least that week I think is pretty much like the design week, which I don't know what the beginning of that week is, but it's like maybe
Well,
the
I'm actually
12th or
more
something.
interested in the second half of it, though, and I don't know if we can get tickets like that because I think you got to buy the whole thing. Because the second half actually relates to my work. It's all about transportation, electric vehicles, like eco everything, and like how we're going to change the world versus
All right,
just the design
you need
stuff.
to do that and get a place to stay, because we're supposed to go. I don't have anywhere for us to stay, and
Okay.
we probably have waited too long. But anyway,
Just sleeping in my truck.
yeah, or we can take the Forerunner that has the back. We can snuggle up in the back. I don't know.
We'll find a place to snuggle. Okay.
Okay.
I know I'm totally down to go. I really wanted to go this year, but if we just go for the party, that's cool too. But I would actually. I haven't gone in so long.
That's going to be me, because also keep in mind that's also St. Patrick's Day is during that week, and so that weekend, like my neighborhood throwing a rager, I have to be there. I've also got family coming in, two different family. I've got my biological brother coming in. His daughter is has like softball games or something. And then Nicole's uncle is coming just randomly. And it just also happens to be the weekend of the St. Patty's Day Rager. And then we've got the South by on like the 17th, which I think is
So
like a
we're
Thursday.
going like last time. We're just gonna drive down there, go to the party, and come back the next day.
It would be nice. We might do the sleep on the side of the road in the car. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's kind of a one day thing. I forgot we did that last time.
Whatever.
It's painful.
Yeah, I mean, it made us curve our drinking situation quite a bit since we knew we had to get up and drive like really early.
Oh, but we actually slept. Okay.
yeah, we
I
slept
forgot.
at Anthony's couch or something.
That's right.
At the old
That's
house.
right. I always fuck myself on these things where I'm like, oh, I'm working. I just need one day off. Like, why did I do that?
But no, I've been missing conferences, like, which is weird to say because I think I took them for granted before, like, but I miss going to a conference and like just getting inspired by like one dumb talk that somebody gave, and it was like one little piece of it or something. Like, I remember at
I'm
South
with you.
by Zay Frank. You remember Zay Frank?
Sure do. He like disappeared off the face of the earth.
He totally has disappeared, but he gave a talk at the South by, and it was so like, it was so cool and like emotional at the same time, where he was talking about like you know, I mean, it's pretty fitting now that we're going through a pandemic and everyone's depressed, but about depression and suicide and like all this kind of stuff, and how he wanted to do something that was like use his talents, but like actually affected people and help them, right?
Yeah.
And so he did this thing where it was like, you called a number, and you like they told you the words of a song, and it was something, you know, I forget.
Wait, what was the
details. I forget what the details of it, but it was like the words of a song about something about like, we care about you, you're the best, please don't go away, we're here for you, or something in that vein. And then it was like, here's how to sing it. And so it was like a voicemail, and like people would leave a voicemail and they would record themselves singing this song, and then he would tie it together and like basically like edit it to where it like sounded like a real chorus, like, and all these like thousands of people singing this song.
And these are people that called when they like sort of were having like depressed thoughts.
No, these are people that wanted to help. And so then when people actually needed help, this was one of the things that they would send to those people about like these 15,000 people that you don't know care enough about you that they want you to hear this. And like it would be like this, and it would be like this song that they would like, dude. And it was like, that's what I'm saying, like, that's the kind of shit we could be doing. Like, it's like so like emotional and like, but it's so simple, right? Like we did this thing with my company for the domestic abuse in Hawaii, where it was called like a message from an angel, where it was like the hardest part about like when you have like a friend or something that's in like a domestic abuse like relationship is like talking to them, because they don't want to hear it. Yeah. And so what you would do is you'd put their phone number into this thing that we made, and it would just send like almost like it sounds cheesy to be like a message from an angel, and it'd be like it would just like, it wouldn't have a name, it wouldn't have anything, and it would just say, I just want you to know you're not alone. If you ever need help, click this link or call this number, text me back anytime. You know what I mean? And it was just like it was just like that. And it was like this whole thing that we built for the whole state of Hawaii. Like, it was really fucking cool. But like, it's like shit cool. Like that. Like, I miss getting inspired to do other things that are just like, let's make a SaaS app that does this thing. You know, like,
it's been the way that I've thought about conferences for the longest time. It was like the majority of it. And look, I've been a part of like, you know, I've spoke at a few, and you know, you could probably skip to my talk or whatever, but a huge part of the value is like seeing people, saying hi, meeting a couple of new people. And then, like you said, there's that one that's going to be inspirational. And honestly, like, started to devalue the inspiration part of the conference for a while, because I was like, man, I want to go somewhere and get something tactical. Because even the ones that you go to these, and there's typically not really good takeaway, like, oh, I can do that to give me a different result. It's like usually inspirational. But like, then you go to those and it's like the tactical stuff isn't that great. It's not like anybody ever gives you the answer. And then you start realizing, you're like, then there's a couple of good ones and you're like, oh, that was actually just inspiring. Like, the inspiring stuff is like what's going to make me write down some notes of like, man, maybe we could do this. Maybe we could try this. And then that kind of turns into the tactical piece, which is just because you're inspired like by a person that may be completely not doing relevant stuff, but they're just giving you ideas because they like speak well and they're inspiring. So I'm with you. I'm missing the conferences a little bit too. I haven't been in fucking
it's
a
been
long
a minute.
ass time.
Like, I don't even know the last conference that I really went
dude,
to.
Let's get this shit on and popping. We're going to some conferences this year.
Let's do it. You know one I've always wanted to go to? What is it called? Like Big Omaha or something like that?
I have no idea.
There's one in Omaha that's like a design conference, and it's like on a farm, or it's like something like, I remember Mark Hemian.
Dude, it sounds like what I wanted to do. What we've talked about.
Yeah. And I've always wanted to go to that one just because it seems so random. It's kind of like the crypto show being in like Marfa, Texas kind of thing. It's like it's like one of those types of things. But I don't know. We need to find a good one. To just go to.
All right. I think we need to figure out a few and then mention it on here and then make it a thing. As we'll promote ourselves via.
We'll do a show there and it'll promote them. Yeah. Because we're famous.
We're big shit like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I've got a meeting coming up, so let's wrap this motherfucker.
I have to pick up my little people from school.
Oh, excellent.
So good timing.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, go for it.
Oh, thank you for watching this long. If you have, I'm sorry about all of the back and forth.
Hey, you're fucking it up already.
Everywhere.
No apologies ever. Don't you remember that episode?
I'm not apologizing for the thing I'm saying. I'm apologizing for how we went all different directions and it wasn't like a smooth line. All right.
No.
You're right. I'm not sorry. You know
what?
Let
me do it. You know what?
Fine.
Hey, folks. Oh, yeah, you're hearing the garage door because my wife is actually leaving to pick up our midget.
Oh, there you go.
Folks, as always, like and subscribe. Another thing, we need you to go on the Apple Podcast app, scroll down to the very bottom where it shows the stars, give us a 5-star rating. You can give us whatever fucking rating you want, especially since the garage door noise is extremely loud. I realize that might be a star or two off. But just found out that some friends of ours that have just started a podcast that we totally support, and we'll mention that as soon as they're ready for us to mention it. They already have 15 ratings, and they've gotten a couple of 1 stars, but I don't care. Go in there and rate us, but give us 5 stars for sure. Did I forget anything, Ray?
No, I'm pretty sure.
Leave some comments. We're on YouTube. We're on all of the podcasting apps. If we're not on a particular podcasting app and you really want us to be there, let me know. We'll do our best to make it happen. With that, until next time, I'm Stephen Ray.
Ray Hernandez.
Deuces.
Later.